All right, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to the Movie Bros show. I am your host, Remy King, and your my sidekick, your co-host, your entertainment. I bring to you
Me, Jay
you,
Dizzle, Sexy Mexy,
sexy
Bro
mess.
Top,
Yeah,
Squinty Eyes, wonderful loving man
sleepy
I
boy.
am.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sleepy
yeah,
boy.
yeah.
It's because you
So,
work so hard all the time. You're just always on the go, and you're always tired, and that's
man, I
okay.
tell you,
You're
always on the go. It's just the way it works for me. So,
But you're assistant to the regional manager, so
thank you. Thank
yeah.
you.
I mean,
Oh, man, we need to do some shirt change, some
yeah,
costume changes at some
yeah,
point.
right. And you're in space.
That's,
So
oh, yeah, true that.
yeah.
Uh,
So obviously we batch record these episodes, and this is the same shirt I was wearing than probably the past couple episodes because we batch record. And it's just something you're gonna get used to after a while. So come along with us on this journey together. It's the Movie Bros Show with your hosts, Remy Keene and Josh. As we venture into the beyond of movies. And today we're talking about romance and maybe not exactly romance 100% movies, but we will have some of those in here. I'm personally going to mention some romance movies that um, I liked the romance aspects in that might not be a romance movie. But I'm excited to talk about this because a lot of people are probably like, these two guys don't care about romance in movies. And I'm like, when it's
Untrue.
done tastefully,
Untrue,
I love
yeah.
it. I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. A great movie is a great movie, regardless of, if he can engage you and suck you in and make believe or make you believe what they're selling is truth and it has some heart and there's great writing, great actors, man. When it comes together, whether it be romance, comedy, or whatever, it's just going to be a great movie. So, I thought we'd try something different today. Check out some great romances. And I got a couple in mind. But I think how do you want to start off? You want to go first? What do you think?
Uh, sure.
Or maybe
Um,
you do one and I'll do one, kind
sure.
of thing. Or do
That
you?
sounds great. So the one I'm going to start with is honestly, uh, not going to be surprising. I don't think, because I think it's fantastic. It's probably Nicholas Sparks' best movie. It's The Notebook, and I don't care who you are. That story is a great story. It's so sad and it's so good. And it's just I don't know. It's just overall, The Notebook is one that I find to be uh top of the line, just good story. If you're wanting a story about true romance that I don't know, just envelops you and really brings you into the story, I feel like it's this one. Plus I think Rachel McAdams is super attractive, so that's another plus. And my
Yes, for
wife
sure.
my wife approves. I mean, sure, I'm sure she likes Ryan Gosling a little bit too. So uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Ryan Gosling, the sculpted abs and everything like that. I mean,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So I'm gonna go back to old school, and I think this was probably the first
Wait,
romance movie. Oh,
wait
go
a
for it.
second. What did you think of The Notebook? Like,
Oh, I
what are your
absolutely loved
feelings
it.
on it?
You
Okay.
know, I absolutely loved it. I mean, the chemistry was great. There's some lines in it like well, what do you want? Well, tell me what you want. And then I mean, just it was really good. It was really honestly good, and I didn't see it coming. I kind of saw it coming towards the end. For those that haven't watched it, there's a little bit of a spoiler at the end. Um, really just phenomenal. And at that time, Nicholas Sparks was one of the greatest romance novelists ever, um, and still is really to this day, to be honest. Um, Worldwide selling author. So the movie, the book was just great. Just loved it. So
What would you rate it out of 10 if you had to rate it something?
oh, probably an 8 for sure. I
Yeah,
think
me too.
a solid 8.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
I'm right at a solid 8. I would say 7.9 if I have to, compare it, and it might take a step down from other movies, but honestly, like um the dedication that the actors put themselves through, and everything, and just like I think I read that Ryan Gosling lived uh, and built furniture during the day and rode the river during the mornings, just to prepare for the role, and like how would this person live, and just kind of embody the character. And it's like, when people get that in depth with wanting to understand their characters, it means they're going to be invested in their role and really play it well. So that's why I think it was so, well done. And honestly, it's just classic love story, but brought into like a hopeful and like relatable light, um, with their future selves. And yeah, so all right, what's your next pick? What's your
so I'm gonna pick something that's a classic, and this was actually the first time that I thought, as a young kid, as a young teenager, um, there was two movies that really impacted me as far as romance, and they're different. They're wide apart here. So the first one was Untamed Heart.
okay?
Untamed Heart, Christian Slater, Marissa Tomei. It's just about this everyday guy who falls in love with one of the most beautiful women in the world, and how this whole romance goes, and how he's just got all there's just these little secrets, and the romance unfolds, because not because he's a bully, not because he's alpha male, just because he's just a wonderful guy, and she gets to see that. And this whole thing happens, and little twist at the end. I don't really want to give it away, but this was the first romance movie that I was just like wow, this is neat, and I wish this would happen to me. And I've never felt that before, not with romance movies. You just, especially as a young teenager. Um, so yeah, that was the first one that I really love. Now the next one, this one's dear to my heart, and it's pretty much almost a 10 out of 10 for me. Um, it's gonna be Boz Lerman's Romeo and Juliet, 1996. We're talking Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. And I saw this movie the first time at like 1 o'clock in the movie, and didn't even sleep or wink. I mean, I sat there and took it in for 2 hours.
Right.
Um, it was relatable because they had like a drug scene, and I'd been, the whole thing to me was relatable. I was into Shakespeare at that time too, um, and that was just awesome to see the musical representation of Shakespeare's work. And really, honestly, Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio just worked the magic. And so this is one of the premier, in my opinion, one of the premier romances in the '90s, anyways.
I remember
Um,
it caught a lot of flack, for being um, uh, Shakespeare with guns.
yeah.
Yeah.
So even the weapons were called. If you
My
look at
sword.
the gun, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, my sword, and we actually watched it in high school. They actually showed it because we were going through an English teacher, and she was showing us Shakespeare, and she actually showed the movie. And I remember stopping and thinking, "Hey, is this real Shakespeare? I mean, is this coming right out of the books?" She's like, "Yeah, it's line for line, verbatim."
Yeah.
And this was a love work done. And again, when you see Shakespearean tales like that, you just don't recognize it in that modern of a tone. And
You know,
and so the only other Romeo, I don't really remember another really good Romeo and Juliet, to be honest, since this one. They've made others, countless others, and I couldn't even tell you. I know I've seen them, but I couldn't even tell you who they were. And this one just stands out for me.
yeah.
Um, the music, the dancing, um, the youthfulness, um, just brings me back to a time. So really like that one.
Awesome. Yeah, man, Tybalt, uh,
Vault, yes.
John, John Leguizamo, he's just fantastic. Like, I remember thinking, like, I just can't imagine these characters in my head to be, you know, like nowadays. And then this movie made me see it now, like, made me see uh, what would go down and how it's like really just gang rivalry. And it made me see it in a more relatable light, and then
And
I started liking
you know what I liked
Shakespeare
about
more.
it? Um, Tybalt was John Leguizamo. Mercutio was
Yeah,
the actor from Lost. I can't remember his name, but you didn't really see, um, and I'm going to call it color, but black and a Mexican, or actually he's not Mexican, he's Puerto Rican or whatever. You know, in these lead roles speaking Shakespeare. That was
yeah.
far out there, and they did a phenomenal job. I mean, I can't. When I hear Tybalt, I see John Leguizamo. I mean, and from here on out, the way he smashed the cigarettes under his steel boot, the way he twirled the guns, the everything about it was just wonderful. And of course, Baz Luhrmann is a beast. I mean, I don't think he can make a bad movie, to be honest. Not
I'm
that
gonna
I've seen.
I'm gonna have to rewatch this because I loved it, and yeah, it's I'm pretty sure another one of this guy's movies is on my list too. Um, so I'm
Gotcha.
actually gonna go ahead and go right to it because I love musicals. And I feel like music can tell a beautiful story if you allow it to. And Moulin Rouge is my
Yes.
next pick. Ewan
Another.
McGregor, and oh my gosh, it's
It's
just
it's
so
another
good.
Boz. It's another Boz Lerman
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
that you
right.
know. Um, love that, man. When she kind of gets assaulted by the guy, you just feel disgusted. I mean, you feel disgusting. You just want to pound him, right? It's great. I mean, he just did it right well. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and then all the contemporary music that you got in there
and it
just
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 it
killed it.
tells the story so well. Oh, and man, oh goodness, whenever he says Roxanne, oh the whenever they start that song, my goodness, it's just so good, and I loved it, like just so well done, very inventive. I love the choreography on the rooftop when they're, singing back and forth, their medley of the songs of their, it's like their theme song. They're singing back and forth together, and it's so good. It's up there, and it's sad. It's uh, yeah, it's a great one. It's definitely high on my list of like, wow, this was good. Like, it's so good.
Yeah. So, another movie that, and this is this is gonna be out there again. It's a foreign movie. It's called Kama Sutra, and initially, I'm gonna, when I'm 15, I'm looking at this. It won tons of awards, and I thought, oh, sure, I'll give it a try, right? Because I mean, Kama Sutra is about a book with sex positions for Indians, right? And you're just like, whatever. I watched it, and it was kind of the thing that brought you to the movie. Like you were like, oh, it's gonna be this tale about this king who has these lovers and blah blah blah. And really, what it was about was obsession and guilt. It actually reminded me of the book about Sarah, what was it? Sarah and in the Bible where he gave the servant over to have the baby.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's what it actually was about. Was about like these women fighting over the love of this guy, and of course the weapons for sex and sensuality and this and that. Um, but it was a crazy movie. I'd still give shout out to that, man. It's another movie that like um, just really stood out there, and it was very foreign, right? And nothing that you would probably think of when I think of romance movies now. The classics. I'm thinking of Harry Met Sally. I'm thinking of like Untamed Heart. I'm thinking of Pretty in Pink. Um, things like that, and thinking of Pretty Woman. You know, things like that. And so I just kind of wanted to give a shout out to Kama Sutra. It was an old movie back in the day that really kind of touched my heart. It was a great movie. Well done, proper. So
yeah, absolutely. Um, so another one that I'll do. You're not gonna you're not gonna think that it is really that romancy, or anything maybe, but it Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I love the movie. It's in my top 20 of all time movies. I can quote it, very very thoroughly, especially when I'm watching it. I'll say something well before it comes up. But the reason I think it's cool is like it has that romance aspect with Ramona Flowers and how he falls in love with her and like just the illustrations of like their first date and like how they just float to a door and like it's like kind of like an aimless walk except for when it really matters and that's when you're with them and um I don't know. I just thought it was great. And then the fact that he would be willing to sacrifice himself for her, but then actually has to realize that he has to respect himself, and then that will ultimately lead to being able to love Ramona in the way that she is when he respects himself for and won't change for her, and she doesn't have to change for him. Ultimately, it's like a deep level. It's like a lot of people, some people I know don't like this movie because they were just like, "Oh no, it was bad." I'm like, uh, no. If you really watch that movie, it has so many different like comedic points to it. Kieran Culkin's in it alone. That's like, come on, Fuller's in
yes,
this movie.
yes,
Hello.
yes,
I'm like, and Michael Cera does a great job. The like whole relationship with Knives Chow and the fact that really he doesn't belong with her because he ultimately just dated someone to date them and then decides to pursue Ramona even though he's still with Knives and it's like you're messing it up for yourself, bro. And it's like just follow your heart, do what you're supposed to do. And it's like you already knew at that point that you should have called it off with Knives, but you enjoying yourself too much to actually respect other people. So if he had self-respect from the beginning, he would have not dated try to date two girls at one time and respected them enough to let them know. So all in all, you don't see it as a romance movie at first, and that's okay. But romance belongs within stories everywhere, and I it's one of my favorite movies, so I had to mention it because I really enjoy the romance aspects of that movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great choice, man. Um, I'm gonna throw the 2004 Andrew Lloyd Webber and Joel Schumacher movie of the Phantom of the Opera.
This was my next pick. This was my next pick.
I mean, Gerard Butler, Emmy Rossum, Patrick Wilson. When I saw this, I saw it at a IMAX in what used to be called the Warren out east. Saw it in the luxury section where they fed you drinks and ordered meals, and the waitress came to give you food, and we all hushed her out of the way. We're like, move. And I went to see it with a couple different friends, and they were that into it because and literally the whole theater was empty. I couldn't even understand it. Um, the whole theater was empty, but we might have gone during the day though, even. But I'd seen it, and then I saw it again, and I saw it again, and then I got the DVD, and I knew every word. And Gerard Butler actually plays the Phantom. Can you imagine Gerard Butler?
I know. This is Sparta.
Um, Sparta. This is exactly plays the Phantom. Um, it was excellently done. Emmy Rossum was 14, I believe, at the time when she made the movie. Um, just won't be too many more movies like that, man. And I've seen adaptations, and there's nothing to say against Sarah Brightman, who played the female character on stage. But man, I tell you, there's just something about this movie that was just magical. The guy, almost every note was accurate. I'd listened to the opera on CD, wore it out before I went to go see this movie, and it was almost note for note exactly the same. I mean, they really loved uh, the Phantom of the Opera, and they did it well. Just beautiful.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, like you said, Gerard Butler. I love his raspy voice playing the character of the disfigured guy that wears a mask all the time. It's like, of course, he plays this character, and it's like I loved, Patrick Wilson's character, and also, great voice for the character. And yeah, Emmy Rossum was a fantastic uh played, those three people make that movie just what it is and how great it is. So I have to say that yeah, that's a really great choice. Like I said, it was gonna be my next choice for sure because it's like I love musicals. The music in it is fantastic, and it tells the story the whole way through. The competing,
yes, yeah,
tones in and the Phantom's theme is also it transforms into Angel of Music, and Angel of Music is her like uh pedestal
what
song. It puts her
what I
up there. So
what I also like about it is it almost told it in a way that like was realistic. Like she kept saying she saw the angel through the mirror, and then he was actually there, right? And
yeah,
in the crawl spaces, and you know, um, he would take her down to his lair, and she kind of was in a dream state and things like that. And just a wonderful, wonderful movie, man.
yeah.
Can't say enough about it. What do you rate it on the 10 scale? On the bro scale, what do you rate it, bud?
I gotta give it like a man. It's
I'm
so
at least
good.
I'm at
I,
least a solid 8 at least.
I'm thinking 8.4,
Okay.
like right there, because
Yeah.
it's top of the line for me as far as musicals, as far as romance, as far as all of the aspects it plays into. Um, yeah, yeah, it's so rewatchable. I could go put it
Yes.
in and enjoy it. Like I could go
Yes.
like
Yes.
turn it on the TV, and I'd be like, "Hush, boys, we're watching something great. Like we're watching a movie you can enjoy for probably forever." So yeah,
Yes.
no, I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Yep. What
Um,
about you? You you just a 8 or
Say again?
are you just a
No, yeah, so
8.0?
I'm at least a solid 8 for sure. There's
Yeah.
no way it's below an 8. I'm thinking
Okay.
8.5,
Yeah.
8.7, close to a
All right.
9.
Cool.
I don't think I have a 10 movie yet. I mean, the only movie I think that would come close to 10 to me, and the only one I'm thinking of right now is probably Braveheart
Yeah.
or something epic like that.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's definitely a solid 8 for sure. I mean, um, would never go below an 8 on
Yeah.
on that one.
Same.
Um, Another movie that I really, really liked, it's kind of a romance. It's also kind of a little bit of it kind of started the not really started the rom-com genre, but it kind of started the teenager modern day rom-com. So
Oh,
like
yeah.
you had Pretty in Pink
Yeah.
and those kind of
60
movies in
Candles
the
and
yeah,
yeah.
16 Candles in the 80s. Well, in the 90s you had something called Can't Hardly Wait
Mm.
with Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah.
And of course, you see the smile instantly. I say that, and you automatically smile because there were some memorable moments in that. And again, it was about Ethan Hunt, I think, or let me make sure that's his name. It was Ethan. Oh man, Peter Facinelli. Hold on, I'll tell you here in a second. Yeah, Ethan Embry, who was one of my favorite actors. He's just again plays this nerd that I idolizes this person, and I like the kind of the realness of it to where like I felt like in high school we all had somebody that we totally idolized that we thought was just outside of our realm, outside of our class.
Oh, yeah.
And and this movie kind of told that love story. Um, through the funny trials of the night, and so I really liked it. I really liked how the ending lasted. It was a pretty good movie for me. A pretty good romance for me. So
I also feel like it didn't take itself too seriously, and I love it when movies do that. They're like, we can make, fun of ourselves at the same time, but also be like, "Okay, yeah, this is something that people would love to see played out." But also it's like, you know, that's that's good,
yeah,
so I
yeah.
love it. Um, yeah, and I feel like this movie made Jennifer Love Hewitt
Oh,
like
sorry. Yeah.
a
All,
star and like someone everybody's teenage crush. And Seth
yeah,
Green. Seth Green was in that
yeah.
too, right?
Right. Seth Green, Jerry O'Connell, Peter Facinelli.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, just all sorts of stars. I mean, there was like they all went to this movie and then they all went out and became stars of at least something, right? They
right.
just kind of blossomed out of this thing. Um,
So my next one is actually a comedy, but the romance in it is more like I don't know, it just felt real. It's Date Night with Steve
yes,
Carell and Tina Fey,
yeah, I
and
was
it's
gonna
like
mention that one.
it challenges like it's it's a challenge to still be in love after all that time, and it's like the fact that they get to go out on such a crazy ride adventure, um, as the triple horns and go throughout the whole night, and it's just like I don't know. Like it shows you that there's still romance there and connection even after all that time. You can't take it too seriously. Just have to have a good time with someone. Now they're going to be able to be like more in love with each other cuz it's like they were just so used to this mundane life that they were didn't have anything fun to relate over. And now they have a ton of fun and a ton to relate over. So I just thought it was a really cool story and hilarious all the way through. And then, like, it even shows you a younger couple who's just starting out struggling with each other. And I think it's Mila Kunis and someone else, Justin Timberlake. I don't remember
Mm,
who is it. But yeah, either way, that's one of my top romances. Just because, like, um, or is it Mark Wahlberg? I think
it's
it might
Mark
be
Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg.
Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Um, but yeah, like it's funny. It's a great time. Like, and it's rewatchable. Also, I love rewatchable movies. You'll hear me say that, and instantly the movie becomes rated higher on the list. Because if I can watch it more than one time and enjoy it again, it's it's a good movie. You know.
So, that's actually a great movie, to be honest. That was a good choice. I'm gonna go outside the box a little bit and kind of, um, um, I'm gonna go with Memoirs of a Geisha. Um, Great foreign Japanese movie. Actually, it was kind of a weird movie because it was meant to be Chinese, but geisha were Japanese. I don't know if this whole thing, but I kind of felt like this was one of the foreign movies that everyone got enwrapped and enveloped in. Anyway, that movie came out and tons of people saw it, and I just really remember the artistry, the beautifulness of the geishas. The sceneries were just unmatched. I'd never really seen those kind of sets before. So I really liked that one. It was a well done movie.
Awesome.
Um, produced by Steven Spielberg and won tons of 6 Academy Awards, best cinematography, best art direction, best costume design. Definitely worth a look, in my opinion. So
About Time um, is my next choice. He can travel through time and basically experiences falling in love with his wife differently. And it's so good. Again, Rachel McAdams is in it. Bill
mhm.
Nye's in it. And it's a really good story. I love the time travel aspect. Like, time travel is just one of my, like, I'll watch any movie with time travel in it because I just love that type of a movie. But the like connection, the chemistry they have, is good. Like, and there's tragedy, there's, like, loss, like, and then there's just like the battle with that. How much more would you value your life prior to the accident, if you already knew it was coming? And, like, even if you didn't know the outcome of the accident, yeah, I think it's a movie everyone should watch, and definitely one that I would suggest. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. I didn't give a ton away, because I think it's worth the story being told to you straight through. So,
Yeah, to be honest, I've never seen that, and that's
oh, it's good.
I
It's
may have to put it on my list. It's got some
Yeah,
great reviews
yeah,
going
and
on
it's
here.
phenomenal. It's long. I think it's like 2 hours plus, but it's a good one. It's really good.
Yeah. Um.
There's another one like it, and it's called the Time Traveler's Wife, and I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's comparable or what. But About Time is the one that I have seen, and that's what I was looking up. I'm like, which one have I seen? Which one haven't I? But yeah, I'd like to see the other one just to see, and I think it's available to watch on Hulu, Mr. Hulu, right now, so you should take
mm,
advantage of that.
so I'm gonna go with a couple different ones, but with Johnny Depp movie. On what was it called?
Sweeney Todd?
Sweeney Todd,
The Demon Barber of Fleet Street?
the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. I really like that.
I love that movie.
I'm a huge fan of Helen Bonham Carter, and even though they didn't have like, even though the romance was kind of one sided in that sense. At the end, you really felt the pain of her, of losing her. I guess um, you felt the obsession uh, that drove them apart, that led to murders. And um, to me, it is a romantic story. I mean, it's gruesome, it's horrible, it's got horror, it's got murder, but to me, it's really about a broken heart, you know, and not seeing the thing that's in front of you, and not being able to let go, and um, so kind of wanted to throw that out there. I mean, I don't think it's a normal romance movie, but I certainly enjoyed it, and to me, it felt romantic
I
in a
love
weird
that pick.
sense. So
I love it because it also is like, even if he wasn't a murderer, um, he is so dedicated to his craft that he chooses it over her,
yeah,
and
yeah,
ultimately that leads to his folly and his downfall.
yeah.
So yeah, no, that was good. My next one is a funny one, um, um, but it was really really good. Stranger Than Fiction. Um,
I haven't seen that one.
oh, it's so good. So Will Ferrell stars opposite of
Emma
Maggie
Thompson.
Gyllenhaal,
Oh, okay.
Jake
Yeah.
Gyllenhaal's
Yep.
sister.
Mhm.
And like one of my favorite like uh puns is in it. I love puns. Puns are my favorite form of comedy. Uh because I'm a dad joke type of guy, right? But to romance her, he brings her, she's a baker, and he goes into her bake shop and everything, and that's how he gets to know her. But to romance her, he brings her flowers, but not flowers. He brings her different types of flour for baking. He's like, I brought you flowers.
Oh, yes, yes,
And
yes, yes,
I
yes.
love it. I
I
think
do
that's
remember this
fantastic.
movie.
Yeah. But yeah, ultimately the story is about him and her falling in love, and then ultimately there's this writer, and she is writing a story, and every book she's ever written, she writes a tragedy, and it's about a person and ultimately leads to their untimely death. And that's what she writes. And so ultimately um he randomly starts hearing the author narrate
Yes.
his life, and he's like, what
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah.
And then uh they meet each other, and he reads it, and he's like, okay, let's do it. And I won't tell you the end because I want you to watch it, but such a heartfelt, heartwarming story. And yeah, um the romance in it is just great. And it's funny because there's just so many other aspects involved that make you realize that um, you know he wouldn't have chosen to not fall in love with that girl, even if it meant he could live longer and live a different life or choose differently. He would have, you know, still fallen in love with that girl and chosen her again. And so I love that one. That's a good one.
Yeah. So I got one. It's called I'm trying to find it. I think it's called A Walk to Remember
Oh yeah, with
with
Mandy Moore when
there you
she
go,
has
Mandy
cancer.
Moore.
Yeah.
So this to me was I watched this with my wife, and it was I think it's another Nicholas Sparks book. Hold on, let me just check it on the. Yes, another Nicholas Sparks book. It's called Walter. Remember, it had Mandy Moore. First time you ever actually seen Mandy Moore in a film, and she did a phenomenal. In my opinion, I don't remember seeing her outside of that too much. Maybe some cameos. But yeah, it's was a phenomenal film. I really like the kind of the PG love about it just was clean and it just to me, it really just dealt with simple, it was the simplistic love of just being with somebody, even though there's complications and those kind of things. And yes, there was tragedy, but it was just pretty wonderful. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought um, the actors were great. Mandy Moore was awesome in it. The male part was I can't remember his name, but he's another phenomenal actor. Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, Shane West
Mm.
or Landon Carter. Shane West. Um, yeah, just another phenomenal movie. I really like this one. So
Yeah, I remember that being real big when I was in high school. And yeah, just all sorts of uh I don't know,
yeah,
just good
and
good
it's
things
weird. It got
about
weird ratings. I mean,
yeah,
Rotten Tomatoes has it at 27%.
sure.
IMDb
Yeah.
has it at, IMDb has it at 7.3.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then if you look, it's 92% like this movie from Google users. So you're like, well, okay. I mean, how far away can we get with these stats? So again, guys, don't believe the stats, man.
Yeah.
Don't even believe us. Go out and watch the movie. Get your own opinion. Um, you know, and yeah, you know, enjoy it with the wife. Enjoy it with a friend, lover, whatever. So
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my last pick and you get your last pick ready.
okay,
But this one was just I loved it. Um and it is a true romance movie. I'm actually gonna do real quick just a few like honorable mentions that didn't make my list today, but I think the romance aspect in them are good. The Mask with Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz.
yeah,
I actually think that is kind of a cool like romance. Like, how far would you go for love? Would you become a totally different person that isn't even real and act crazy? To try to win the girl, or is being yourself actually good enough? And ultimately, nice guys finish last. That's the whole theme of the movie. But sometimes it's okay to finish last if you finish well. So that one's good. Another one, Crazy Stupid Love.
yeah.
I love it because there's two love stories going on in it. Ryan Gosling and I don't remember. Emma Stone are the kids, and then Steve Carell and Julian Moore are the parents, and they're both re-falling in love with each other, and in different ways in the story. And there's a lot of things like that I disagree with in the storyline completely, but I love just the rekindling, the realization of, I went out and tried everything else and it all sucked and I just want you back. And ultimately that's like, or, I've lived this life of, a ladies man and being able to get every girl, but ultimately I want something, committed and, choosing that one person because I feel like that's the way God designed it. But anyway,
Mhm.
the movie, my choice, my top choice is maybe not top choice, just no order, but The Vow. The Vow is again Rachel McAdams, but Channing Tatum is her co-star,
Oh yeah,
and
right.
she loses her memory in a car accident and doesn't remember falling in love with him.
Yes.
And so he has to because he made the vow to love her forever through, for better or for worse, he sticks to that. And it's like, how easy would that be to just give up? And it's like, there's some heartbreaking moments that it's like, she gets overwhelmed because she doesn't remember falling in love with this person. And it's like, I don't know. I can't decide that fast. And it's like he just wants it because he already had it. And it's just such a good story. And I've seen it done before, like while you were sleeping. That was a good one because it's like, how do you wake up from a coma, and everybody thought you were gonna just die, so people have moved on without you. So that was a good one too. But the vow, I think it was just executed really, really well. And I loved it. So yeah, that's my last mention.
So I got a couple. I got one honorable mention and then one that we have to talk about.
All right.
So honorable mention is Great Expectations with Ethan Hawke
Okay.
and Gwyneth Paltrow. It came out like in '98. Um, it to me there was there was just a real beauty about the movie about obsession. It was about all the feelings that kind of come in with one-sided love, just obsession, and it was just told by a great story. I mean, Great Expectations, of course, was written um, early on, and it's a Charles Dickens classic, right? And so I felt like they really told this in a modern voice. It was crazy, it was wonderful. It was, just a great romance story. The fact that it had just tons of drama and revenge and the whole night. So it was just a great dramatic romance. So that's my honorable mention. Felt like I had
Yeah.
to throw it
No,
out
that
there.
man, I haven't seen that in forever. I forgot it even
I
existed.
know. That's what I'm saying.
Um, but yeah,
Um,
I can tell you I remember this movie being on like TBS or something as a kid and watching it, and I was like, no, this is a good one. You know,
yeah,
it teaches you some lessons. Like talk about s- writers have meanings behind their stories, and
right,
I mean
for
Charles
sure.
Dickens, obviously, right?
Right, for sure. I mean, one of the greatest authors ever to grace this planet. So, um, the other one, it's got to be Forrest Gump.
Mm.
I mean, that whole thing is an ode to romance, and it's simple. It's, it's, to me, before it's a comedy, before it's a genre bending, before it's, one of the movies that people can most commonly phrase. To me, it's a romance story. It's a
Yeah,
story about a broken boy and a broken girl, um, and how their journey just kind of puts them together in the end, even though they go opposite directions. All these other dramatic events happen. They still end up together, um, and I just think it's probably one of the greatest romance stories in my opinion uh,
yeah.
of all time. I mean, who doesn't who doesn't know the line "Life's like a box of chocolates," right? I mean, it's just over and over and over, just a wonderful, great story. And again, the baseline is you know just the love between a broken boy and a broken little girl, um, going separate ways and ending up together. That's what I think about it. So
Yeah. Man, uh, for a while, honestly, I would say that I had something against Jenny. I really
yes,
didn't like the way she treated
yes,
Forrest, and I was just like, why? But no, eventually when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, this actually makes a lot more sense because it's not just about how Forrest, we see it from Forrest's point of view, but Jenny is just as like sad story. If the story was about Jenny growing up and all the stuff she went through, in life, we probably would have been on her side versus Forrest, and just been like more seeing it from her end. But no, the little bit we see, it's like she's, like, oh yeah, I love you, Forrest, but then she's gone the next morning or the next day. And she just makes these weird choices that I guess we fully don't understand because we're not seeing it from her point of view. But ultimately, I realize, you know, um, both of these people do like want to be with each other, and it just takes a lot. Otherwise, Jenny would have never run across that
Right, right.
big pond and been like, Forest. It's like something in her is like, that's what I've always wanted over there.
Right, right.
And like, so yeah, it's like parts redeem her so well.
Yes.
And I mean, Robin Wright just does such a great job as the character. So
And again, Princess Bride, House of Cards, it's just phenomenal for work. But yeah, I absolutely adore her. I love her in Princess Bride, but I absolutely adore her in Forrest Gump. I mean, um, you hated her, you loved her, you cried with her, you shared her pain, all through the lens of an innocent man, an innocent boy, and it was just great. So I that pretty much wraps it up. I'm sure there's a million more that we can go through. And maybe there's a romance part two because
oh yeah,
we never talked about Breakfast at Tiffany's. We
I
had,
know.
you
There's a
know,
ton. There's a ton
there's
we
a ton.
Yeah. Oh, we can definitely watch them. And it's like again, you think, oh, guys don't really care for, romance movies. And it's like, no, you just don't understand.
Yeah,
We enjoy them completely. There's no movie I've watched that I didn't enjoy for some reason. And it's like sometimes I enjoy it just because I don't enjoy it at all. It's like but it's very rare I'll sit through a movie and just be like, no, I rate this as a 1 or a 2. Almost every movie for me is between a 3 and a 8 or a 3 and a 7.
yeah,
Um I
yeah,
I save my 8 and 9s for my top rated movies, and like you said, it's very few that ever get to a 10. I'll give it like a 9.5 before I give it a 10, but there's a
yeah,
few on that list. But
yeah,
yeah, awesome. Well, I think this episode was a great one. We talked about some great movies on this one, man. Like,
yeah,
there's some good really good movies on this list. A couple you mentioned that I haven't seen, and I plan to watch them now. And then a couple that I haven't seen in such a long time. It'll be like a new adventure now
yeah,
that I'm grown and have experienced romance and love. And for myself, it's like now I'll be able to see it in a new light.
yeah,
So
yeah.
awesome. Uh, but
All
yeah,
right,
cool.
guys. I guess this wraps up another episode.
All right.
We would love to hear your comments. Write, subscribe. You know, let us know what you think. Let's not keep this a one-sided conversation. We're missing probably a million movies that made this world. And so leave us some comments. Let us know what you think about lists. Maybe we're far off. Maybe not. So let us know what you think.
All right.